Good evening, everyone. Hope all of you are doing great. Tonight we're going to be learning Maseches Shabbos Taf Kuf Tes Vav. Baruch Hashem, beginning yet a new parak, Zchus, to begin the parak of Kol Kisvei. And tonight we're going to be learning about the sugya of what happens if, God forbid, there is a fire of sorts, and you are burdened with removing certain things from your home in regards to Sifrei Kodesh. So that's tonight's Mishnah. And then we'll pretty much take it all the way till the last line on Kuf Tes Vav Amud Beis. Baruch Hashem, a beautiful Gemara, and I just have two resources to share throughout the evening. One of which will stay up for most of the daf, maybe for parts of the daf, I should say, so that we just have clarity in where certain machlokos function. And Mir Hashem will have a tremendous amount of clarity, and then we'll see how we paskin within the Shulchan Aruch as well on this matter. Opens the Mishnah in the beginning of Perek Kol Kisvei. Kol Kisvei HaKodesh, all writings that are holy. Matzila Nasomi Bnei Adaleka, we should save them. If God forbid, Rahman al-Islam, Hashem should protect us, that there should be no fires. But if there were to be a fire, then we have a halachic priority to stay in control and save that which we can save. Bein shekorin behen uvein she'ein korin behen, whether or not they're books that we learn out of. This is referencing something that we're not really familiar with. We'll see in a moment that the Sifrei Ksuvim, if someone were to write Tehillim, for example, that we could not just sit there and read them out of a klaf. That was according to some, not allowed, as we'll see shortly, and we'll also see why in Rashi. Afal pisha ksuvim b'chol lashon, and even though they are written in all languages, namely not only in Hebrew, so then under those circumstances, te'unin geniza. So there's already a little bit of a conflict in our Mishnah. What are we talking about? Are we talking about te'unin geniza, where things need burial, or are we talking about matzil and osami pnei adleika? Those are not the same thing. Those are not the same. Rashi here highlights dibur hamaschel tu'unin geniza, which is about 3 to 4 inches below where we are. Rashi dibur hamaschel tu'unin geniza aser lahanichan b'makom hefker uvegemara mitaritza. The Gemara is going to explain why we started talking about geniza in the middle of a Mishnah that's speaking about matzil and mibnei adleika. The Mishnah ends mibnei ma ein koren bahem. Why don't we learn out of those scrolls, referencing those who write up the Tehillim in a scroll? Why can't we learn out of those scrolls? Answers the Mishnah, and closing out the Mishnah, mibnei bittul beis hamedrash, because it will cause for a reduction in learning. What is this referring to? Take a look at Rashi just to our right, and in Shab dibur hamaschil bein she'ein koren bahen. What is it referencing? So it says kigon ksuvim, like the Sifrei Sfarim of Ksuvim. For Rabbeinu Halevi Omar, De'afilu Yechidim, even individuals, Ein Koren Behem. You should not read a scroll of Tehillim on Shabbos. Kedikatani Taima, as the Mishnah writes this reason, Mishum Bittel Beis HaMedrash, Demashche Liba, because someone who's reading Tehillim, not just kind of parroting the words, but someone who's deeply paying attention to the words of Tehillim, it's very, very drawing. There's a tremendous amount of emotion. David HaMelech imbued a lot of feeling and a lot of fear at times as to what was going on. So it's very drawing. So what's the concern there? Doesn't that sound remarkable? We should get lost in our Tehillim. So says Rashi, continues Rashi, Ubeshabes hayu darshin drasha leba'alei batim she'oskin b'melacha kol mosachol. On Shabbos, there would be a shir on Shabbos afternoon for the balabatim. 6 days they work, on the 7th day they rest. They were hitting the pavement every single day. They're busy. They don't have time to sit in front of a daf. So on Shabbos afternoon, the Rav of the community would get up and give a shir. He would teach tachlis, how do you live your life? And that the tov lahen lishmoa milikros b'ksuvim. Rashi here is prioritizing for us our learning, to highlight that there are times when it's more important to learn halacha l'maisa than it is to learn that which you enjoy or that which is otherwise tehillim. And it's not to detract from whether or not that other item is Talmud Torah. Let's say that I enjoy learning Mesilas Yesharim, but I don't know how to keep Shabbos. So Pasha, there's a prioritization there. Now, if I need the Mesilas Yesharim to motivate me to learn Shabbos, okay, fine, a shaila. But here, when you're just looking at 2 items on the table, when one needs to, when you don't know enough halacha, which is all of us, when we don't know enough halacha, then we are obligated to learn halacha first. We're in dire straits. We don't know the Shulchan Aruch. We don't know the shachs and the tazas on most of the Shulchan Aruch. And it's incumbent upon us to know them, men and women. whether or not there's a mitzvah of Talmud Torah by women, a conversation in its own right, but that has nothing to do with the basics. ABCs is knowing the Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Berurah, Shachs, and Tazes. Everybody has to know that. Everybody has to know that. So we have a burden to learn. So what the Mishnah here is writing is Mibnei Bittul Beis HaMedrash. We're concerned that if a person were to learn a scroll of Tehillim too much on Shabbos, it's mashche libe, it's very enjoyable, but it's not the right prioritization. We have to make sure that we are learning halacha so that we know how to behave. The Gemara opens, Itmar, Hayu Ksuvin Targum, if that which was in your house that you are considering saving during a fire was written as a translation, let's say Targum Yonasan, Targum Ben Uziel, O Bechol Lashon, or in any language, there we have a Machlokas Samuraim. Rav Huna Amar, Ein Matzila no Samim Ne'adleika. Rav Huna says things that are translations cannot be saved. Rav Chizda Amar Matzila no Samim Ne'adleika. And Rav Chizda says, yes, you are allowed to save things which are translations. So I have a book behind me up on the shelf, a purple one up there. So that's a translation. Rabbi Kaplan wrote a remarkable translation to Tanakh, first one on the 5 books of Moses, and then again on Nach. Just unbelievable, the erudition and the detail and the research. It's incredible, a work in its own right. It's really remarkable. So that you're not allowed to save according to Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda says you cannot save something which is a targum, something which is in a foreign language other than Ksav Ashuris, or potentially, as we will see in one shita, maybe Yevanis, maybe in Greek, one would be obligated to save it. But nevertheless, that's the basic machlokas Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. Rav Huna says matzilin, that you do save translations. Rav Huna says ein matzilin, that you don't save them, and Rav Chizda says that you do save them. Now, here the Gemara is going to give us a frame of this machlokas. Where does the machlokas of Rav Huna and Rav Chizda function? And for that, I'll just share my screen with you in regards to, I just stole this out of the Gemara, but just so that it's clear as we navigate this little chart here. Okay, let's look in the Gemara, and then we can reference the chart shortly. Aliba demanda amar nisno likros bahen, according to the one who says that you are allowed to read out of them, to kule alma lo pligi de matzilin. According to one who says that you're allowed to read out of the ksuvim, that you're allowed to read out of a scroll. So then, that's not where there's a machlokas between Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. Take a look at the chart. In box number 1, muter likros bekisvei hakodesh haksuvim b'chol lashon. So according to those who say that you're allowed to learn, so then lo pligi de matzil, everyone agrees that you're matzil. Continuing in the Gemara, ki pligi, moving over to box 2, ki pligi, where would we say that there is the machlokas Rav Huna Rav Chizda? Aliba demanda amar lo nisno likros bahen. That according to that person who says you're not allowed to read from them, so then Rav Huna Amar Ein Matzil, and then Rav Huna says you're not allowed. That's box A. Rav Huna says you're not allowed. Again, within the sheet of Rabban Gamliel, Rashi highlights that this is the sheet of Rabban Gamliel. So there, Rav Huna would say Ein Matzil and Daha Lo Nitnu Likros Bahen, just following the rules. You can't save it because you can't read it. So Rav Chizda says, why would I save a book that I can't read? I should prioritize a book I can read over a book I can't read. Rabban Gamliel says you're not allowed to read it, as you can see up here in box 2. So therefore, Rav Huna just, he's a rule follower. However, Rav Chizda Amar Matzilin, Mishum Bizayon Kisvei HaKodesh. Rav Chizda says, I know you're not allowed to read it. It's like Rabban Gamliel, I'm maskim. I'm not arguing with Rabban Gamliel. My question is, can you save it? And in box B here, we see that yes, you are, because if you don't, then it's a bizayon to the svarim that you're going to burn. So we're going to keep this up for the next couple of questions of the Gemara, because it'll make it easier to understand the questions. So it says the Gemara as follows. Tanan, the Gemara asks a question. Wait a minute. Kol kisvei hakodesh matzil anoson mipnei hadleika. Sounds a lot like our Mishnah, because it's a quote from our Mishnah. Bein shekorin bahen, bein she'ein korin bahen. Afal pi sheksuvim b'chol lashon. So even if it's in any language, that's our Mishnah. If that's the case, my love, isn't it the case shekorin bahen neviin v'she'ein korin bahen ksuvin, that you're allowed to read Navi, but you're not allowed to read a scroll that's filled with ksuvim, tehillim, mishlei, whatever else is there. Afal pi sheksuvim b'chol lashon, de lo nitnu likros bahen v'katani matzilin. Still, we see that it's matzilin. We said it's within the world that you're not allowed to read them, but we still see matzilin, like the shita of Rav Chizda. If that's the case, v'tiyuvta de Rav Huna, and then it makes shita A very difficult to understand, because our Mishnah implies strongly that even though you cannot read Tehillim, and even though it's within the sheet of Rabban Gamliel, still our Mishnah says matzilin. So how does Rav Huna get out of this one? Amar l'cha Rav Huna, first of the longest runs, v'tizbara. You think you have pshat all of a sudden. That's not correct. Ema seifa to unin gniza. The next part of the Mishnah said that you require geniza, but I don't understand, says Rav Huna. Hashta atzule matzilinan geniza mibai. Our Mishnah says that you're allowed to violate muksa on Shabbos and move out a parchment on Shabbos. You're allowed to carry it out at Isser Darabanan seemingly, because of whatever reason. Again, whatever the opinion is of the Mishnah, you're allowed to take it out. According to Rav Chizda, it was because of bizayon. So then obviously it's going to need geniza during the week. Pashut, it's going to need to be buried. So therefore, that's a great question, a great pushback by Rav Huna. And therefore the Gemara says, Ela Rav Huna mitarz l'taimei, Rav Chizda mitarz l'taimei. Both Rav Huna and Rav Chizda have to give pshat in our Mishnah in a different way than we initially thought that it was. We brought the first part of our Mishnah as a question on Rav Huna. So now let's see how Rav Huna would explain. Second of the wider lines, 2/3 of the way down. Rav Huna mitarz l'taimei. Bein shekorin behen binavim. Whether or not you're reading a Navi. Uvein she'ein korin behen ksuvin. Or whether or not you hold that you're not allowed to read from a scroll that has Tehillim in it, when is that true? Sheksuvin b'lashon hakodesh. That's only true when it's written in Hebrew. Aval b'chol lashon, any other language, ein matzilin. V'afilu hachi, and you're not allowed to save them if they're written in any language. V'afilu hachi, says Rav Huna, geniza ba'u. Even though it's true that on Shabbos I'm not allowed to save them, says Rav Huna, but afal pikein, I would still need to do geniza on them during the week. I'm just not allowed to violate the Yisur D'Rabbanan on Shabbos of carrying, as it relates to the fire and the burning of these particular things that are translations, the Targum. Rav Chizda mitarz l'taimei. How does Rav Chizda understand our Mishnah? A little bit. He adds a little bit more. Bein shekorin b'hen nevin. Whether or not you're allowed to learn Navi. Ubein she'ein korin b'hen ksuvin. Even if you hold, you cannot learn ksuvim out of a scroll. Afal pi sheksuvim b'chol lashon nami matzilin. Even if you read it in any language, the din is, says Rav Chizda, that you're going to be matzil. V'hachi kamar. If that's the case, then why does our Mishnah talk about gniza? So answers the Gemara in the name of Rav Chizda. V'hachi kamar. Umakak shelahem tu'unin geniza, that when there's rotting, when worms would eat through the parchment, so then under those circumstances we would have said tu'unin geniza. So basically at this point, all of this still stands. Rav Huna can support his own shita, Rav Chizda can support his own shita, but again, all of this is within the camp of Rabban Gamliel, because within the camp over here of the Tanakama, the muter likros bekisvei hakodesh haksuvim b'chol lashon, of reading a translation in English of the art scroll, so then that's everyone lo pligi dematzlina, that everyone agrees to within this shita. But according to Rabban Gamliel, who doesn't allow saving that, then what would they say about the case that we opened with about the translation? So that's a machlokas between Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. Both of them, their opinions are supported. We're about 7 lines down in the wider lines. Kuf Tesvav and Aleph. Let's continue. Meisive, last word on the line. Another question is going to be asked. Hayuksuvin Targum. Here we have a shita in the Tanaim. There was a commentary that was written, V'chol lashon, in any language. What does it say there? Matzilin osan mipnei adloika, directly against Rav Huna. What does Rav Huna say? Rav Huna says ein matzilin within the camp of Rabban Gamliel. Here, what do we see? We see matzilin, and we see that it's talking about a targum, which was the case that we were asking on in the first place. Tiyufta de Rav Huna, answers the Gemara. Amar lecha Rav Huna, Hai Tana Savar Nisnu Likros Bahen. He says, no, you're asking me a question within this camp. No, the Tana of that Mishnah that said matzilin, he held this way, that mutter likros. So there was no machlokes Rav Huna Rav Chizda. There was none of this, because everyone agrees lo pligi de matzilin, and therefore that Mishnah is in accordance with this Tanakama, not with Rabban Gamliel, and that is how Rav Huna gets out of this discussion. Next, Toshma, a third question that's going to be asked against our machlokas between Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. Hayuksuvin giftis midis ivris ilmis yevanis. Something's written in a bunch of these foreign languages, and to be clear, this Ivris is not Hebrew like we know it. It's a different language, a different foreign language. Afal pi shalom nisno likros bohen. Even though you're not allowed to read them, like we saw in our Mishnah, you can't read the Ksuvim on Shabbos because of Bittul Beis HaMedrash. What does the Mishnah say there? What does this source in the Tanaim say? Matzil enosan mipnei adleika nachamol. Another punch. Rav Huna, how are you going to stand up to Yufta de Rav Huna? This is another Mari Makom where we see that Rav Huna is being slaughtered by these shitas in the Tanaim that seem to be directly against him. Rav Huna is an Amora. You can't argue against the Mishnah. So finally, Rav Huna backtracks a little bit. He says, okay, all right, you're right. I can't answer up for every source in the Tanaim. So what I'm going to do is default to a structure of an answer to basically say that I am one shita in the Amoraim that holds like one shita in the Tanaim, and there's a machlokas Tanaim upon which Rav Huna and I are going to be leaning upon. Amar l'cha Rav Huna Tanoihi. It's taka machlokas Tanaim as well. Titania, the Brisa writes, Hayuksuvin Targum Uvechol Lashon Matzil no Samibnei Adleka, just like Rav Chizda, that you're allowed to save them. Rav Yossi Omer Ein Matzil no Samibnei Adleka, glat, very clean. Rav Huna, who says Ein Matzil and follows Rav Yossi, and Rav Chizda would follow the Shita of the Tanakama who holds Matzil and perfect. This story, this Brisa continues. Amar Rav Yossi Ma'isa ba'Abba Chalafta. There was a story. Amar Rav Yossi Ma'isa ba'Abba Chalafta. Rav Yossi was talking about his father Abba Chalafta. Shehalach etzel Rabban Gamliel b'Ribi Litveria, who went to Rabban Gamliel b'Ribi, the son of Rabbi, in Tveria. Umatzu shahei yoshev al shulchano shel Yochanan Hanazov. He was sitting at the table of Rav Yochanan. Uviyado sefer Eov Targum v'hu korebo. And there was a sefer of Eov. Just remove this for the moment. There was a sefer of Eov that was a commentary by a korebo. He was reading it. Amar lo zachor ani b'Rabban Gamliel avi avicha. I remember Rabban Gamliel, your father's father, Shahia Omeid al Gabe Maila Bahar Abayis. He was standing above an elevation by Har Abayis. Behaviu lefan of Sefer Eov Targum, and they brought him a translation. Let's just use the equivalence of today, an English art scroll translation of Targum without the Hebrew in it. Ve'omar lebanoi, he said to the builders, Sheka'u tachas hanidbach, put this underneath, put this in the dirt, put this underneath the ground. Even worse, afutziva alav benignazo. And he even commanded that it should be buried. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Omer, Areva shaltit kafu alav. You should pour some cement on this. This book is a zero. This is in the Tanoim. This is a brisa. So says the Gemara. Hold on one second. Omar Rebbe is still in the Tanoim. Remember, Rebbe's a Tana, of course. So we're still in this brisa. Omar Rebbe. What did Rebbe say back to this story about the potential burial in cement of a book that was the translation of Eov? How would that play out? Says Gemara, that doesn't work. Shtei tshuvos b'davar. I have two responses for you. Number one, b'davar chada v'chitzit bahar habayis minayin. You think they have sitting there a dump truck filled with cement? That's ridiculous. There's no cement truck sitting there on Har Habayis. Where do they all of a sudden have cement from? That's that Mitzias issue. This is a halachic question. So first we dealt with logistics. Now we're dealing with halacha. You can just take the Targum of Eov and dump it in the ground under cement? What are you talking about? That's still Torah. It's still a sefer that has chashivas to it. Maybe it's not a sefer Torah, but it still has chashivas to it. So it says the Gemara, Ella, it must be that what these Tanoim were saying in this brisa was, Ella manichin b'makom hatorfa v'hein markivin me'aleh, and put them in a place, in a barren place where they can just rot on their own. Don't read it because it's not allowed to be read. Part of Sefer Ksuvim, it's not allowed to be read, but still you cannot actively destroy it. So it says the Gemara, Man Tana. We need to see Rashi. Or Man Tana normally means who's the author of this brisa, but that's not what the Gemara is asking here, and that's why thank God for Rashi. Rashi, bottom line, Dibra Hamaskal Man Tana. Man Tana de Ka'amar Rav Huna La'el. Remember we said earlier that Rav Huna said that there was a machlokas Tanoim, that the two shitas that he held and that Rav Chizda held, Rav Huna and Rav Chizda were leaning on Tanoim. How does it play out according to this Mishnah, this brisa that we saw? So Man Tana says Rashi, the Kamar of Huna La'el Tanoihi. Man mehani Tanoi koi Rav Chizda, uman Rav Huna. Now I said it very simplistically because it seemed pashut. Let's see. Turning to the top of Daf Kuf Tes Vav Amud Beis. Says the Gemara. Ilema Tanakama de Rabbi Yossi, difficult language. Tanakama de Rabbi Yossi. Take a look at Rashi. Ilema Tanakama ke Rav Chizda, so not what the Gemara says. Ilema Tanakama ke Rav Chizda, Rav Yossi ke Rav Huna. That can't be. The Dilma beha kamiflage marsavar nitno likros behenu marsavar lo nitno likros behen. That can't be. If what you're saying is that that's the machlokas, then maybe those two Tanaim are arguing on this level of 1 and 2. And really, you can't correlate Rav Huna and Rav Chizda to that because Rav Huna and Rav Chizda only function within one of these two shitas. So maybe the brisa that you're quoting, you can't make the simple jump that I did that the Tanakama holds like X, and you can't do that because maybe their machlokas is on this higher level up and not down here. So that's one rejection. So that doesn't work. So therefore, says the Gemara, Ella, you're right. Rabbi Yossi v'Tanakama de Giftis. The way that Rav Yochanan, the way that Rav Huna and Rav Chizda hold is in regards to two shitas. One was Rav Yossi from the brisa we saw, and one was from the brisa that we saw earlier about the four other languages. And then the shitas would correlate. One says Matzilin, that of course would be the shita of Rav Chizda. One says Ein Matzilin, that would be the shita of Rav Huna. Okay, Tana Rabbanan on top of Kuftes Vavam Beis, 4 lines down. Tana Rabbanan, we learned this a little bit earlier in the Masechta. The Mesorah Shas puts us back some 70 blot to Daf Samach Aleph Amud Beis. Take a moment to appreciate how much of this Masechta we've learned. We're up to 115 blot into the Masechta. That means that we're really not that far from the end. In Yirtz Hashem, another 40 some odd blot, and then we will finish the Masechta and turn to Maseches Eruvin. Tanu Rabbanan habrachos v'hakmiyim. We spoke about people who wear these kamiyas. They wear these charms of some kind, and some of them had parchment in them, as we discussed back then. Afal pi sheyesh ban osios shel shem. Even if they had the name of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, ume'inyanos harbe Shabbatorah, and they had psukim, whatever they were. Halacha is ein matzil osan mipnei adleker. You're not allowed to save them. Elani srafin din mekoman hein ve'az kirosehen. These charms would have to go. They'd have to be burned, even if they had Shem Hashem in them, and even if they had references to psukim, they'd have to burn. So the Gemara just interjects with a little bit of a parenthesis. Mikan amru kosvei brachos kesorfei Torah. People who write down these type of amulets, they are the people who are sorfei Torah, because you can never save them in a dzleika. So if you're going to write an amulet and you're going to write Hashem's name, that is kesorfei Torah. Let's talk halacha l'maisa. In our shul, on the amud at the front of the shul, it has a pasuk, Shivisi Hashem l'negdi samid ki mimini ba'alemot. So there it has Yud Kei Vav Kei. Isn't that this? Ma'inaf kamina. And yet we see that all the poskim allow it. So some of the poskim say that as long as it's protected in a way where it's not going to, in general, be scraped off, it's fine. But then ma'inaf kamina between that and the amulet. Maybe Ladina, we don't poskim like this. And for that, we're going to turn to the Shulchan Aruch. And let's see what the Shulchan Aruch has to say about how we hold here. This is in Siman Shin, Hilchos Shabbos and Orach Chaim Shin Lamed Daled, Seif Yud Beis, right here in the middle. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Kol Kisvei HaKodesh Matzilin. We save all types of writing that are holy. Ha'idna nowadays, Ibnei Hadaleka, V'koran Bahem, Afilu Ksuvin B'chol Lashon. And you can even read Tanakh on Shabbos, even the Kaf in Tanakh, you could read Ksuvim on Shabbos. Ve'afilu Ksuvin B'sam, V'sikra, V'chol Davar, any type of ink. We're going to learn more about this soon. V'chein Matbeya Brachos Shetavucha. Sorry, we'll stop here. We'll stop here quickly. In regards to the Shulchan Aruch, one more line here that we'll have in the Mishnah Brura. Kol Kisvei HaKodesh. How do we define all Kisvei HaKodesh? Writes the Mishnah Brura. Let me just make this larger for you here, or on the bottom right here in the Mishnah Brura. Kol Kisvei HaKodesh. Hainu Tanakh Ugmar V'chol HaSfarim. The Torah Shebechsav Kodemes Lahatzil the Torah Shebal Peh. You have your special shas. You've learned Daf Yomi. You finished shas. Nothing could be more special to you. Nothing, because you've invested 7.5 years into it. But if there's a chumash in your house, that takes priority. You have to take out the Torah Shebechsav before the Torah Shebal Peh. Ve'afilu Torah Shebal Peh mush'alin o muskarin. Even if you have a din and choshen mishpat, I borrowed it from you. How am I allowed to don't I have a chiyuv to return it to you? I'm a shoel, I'm a socher. So there, the din too is going to be the same. If I don't return your sperm, I'll be held accountable, and financially I'll be liable. The shoal is dino. He has the din of mamish and owner. You have to pay everything. Afilu hachi Torah shebechsav kodem, based on the Elia Rabbah. And then as an aside, the last part of the Mishnah Berurah here writes about salas hameis kodem l'sfarim. Basically, we are more strict nowadays to make sure that we don't allow things to burn up that has Shem Hashem in them. Let's continue in the Gemara. We are right now about 9 lines down from the top of Kuf Tes Vav Amud Beis. There was a person who wrote amulets, and he was writing Shem Hashem. He was wrapping them up nice and tight, putting them inside the amulet and selling them. Bo v'hodiu es Rabbi Shmuel. People rattled him. They said, "This is not right. It's not right. He's Kesorfei Torah. Kosev Shemos Kesorfei Torah." Like we just saw a couple of lines ago. It's not okay. So Rabbi Shmuel went to go meet with him. V'halach Rabbi Shmuel lebodko. He went to go check on him. When Rabbi Shmuel was climbing the ladder to the attic where this person was writing, the wood creaks a little bit. So the person writing heard. Here Gishpo, he heard. Natal Tomos Shel Brachos. He took, Rashi highlights here, many kuntrasin, many pages of his writings that he was going to put into the amulets. The shakon b'sapal shalmaim, and he just dunked it into a tank of water and wasted all of it. Uvelashon hazeh amar lo Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel kicked back with a very strong language. He says, Gadol onesh ha'acharon min harishon. It was bad enough you were writing them in the first place, but just because you heard me coming, you dumped them in. Who are you to be mavatal Shem Hashem? You're destroying Shem Hashem. It's not right. Gadol, what you did later was worse than the beginning. Your punishment's going to be worse for the Acharon, for this last move that you did of throwing all of these parchments with Shem Hashem into the water, as opposed to your initial crime, which was writing them in the first place. You should not be doing that. It's not appropriate. The Gemara is going to ask a couple of questions, which will bring us down to the bottom of the page. Rabba bar Rav Huna. Let's say you're not writing with regular DO, regular black permanent ink. You're writing with a different type of ink. It writes, you can look at it, you can see it. It's not a bit, you're like writing with a Bic pen, ki'ilu. You can see what you're writing, right? If you write the whole Torah like that, there still is Yud Kei Vav Kei. And the little plaque that's in Shul that says Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's not written in ink. It's etched out, however they made it, but it's not written in DO. It's written in one of these other types of things. So then what's the din? Do we say matzilin or somebody bnei adleiko ein matzilin? If you write a Sefer Torah, is that ink considered ink halachically? So says the Gemara, tiboy lemando amar matzilin, tiboy lemando amar ein matzilin. This question should be asked both according to Rav Huna and to Rav Chizda. How so? Tiboy lemando amar ein matzilin. According to Rav Huna, we should ask this question: Hani mili heicha deksive Targum uv'chol lashon, aval hacha deksive b'lashon hakodesh matzilin. Because Rav Huna held in general that when something was written in Targum in translation, there he said in matzilin. But here would we say the fact that there is no translation, you mamish wrote Breshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz, but it was written in the wrong kind of ink. So there do we say that it's matzilin or dilma, afilu lemanda amar matzilin. Hold on one second. Aval hacha dechsive b'lashon hakodesh matzilin. Here would Rav Huna capitulate to the other shita and agree that we would say matzilin, or dilma, or perhaps afilu lemanda amar matzilin, even according to Rav Chizda, who holds that which is a translation is saved. Maybe he'd say here is different. Hani mili hecha dechsive b'dio demekayim. That's only true with the ink that we know of, the black ink that's coming out of the well, the right kind of ink to use for a Sefer Torah, not any of these other kind of charlatan types of inks. The real deal, Hani Mili, when did I allow it? That's only true when it was Hecha Deksivi B'Dio Demekayim. Aval Hacha Kevin Delo Mekayim Lo. Here, these inks are not considered Mekuyam. They do last a while, but they don't have the same status of Dio Mekuyam like we have by a Sefer Torah. Omar Le. So then who was talking to who? Let's look back to the beginning. The Reish Galusa asked the question of Rabbi bar Rav Huna. So Rabbi bar Rav Huna answers, the Reish Galusa, ein matzilin. You're not allowed. That ink is insufficient. That ink is insufficient. We have another source in the Tanaim. Rav Hamnuna writes that you are allowed to save it. Answers the Gemara. Amar le Tanya. If he has a brisa, what can I tell you? He has a brisa. So what was his brisa? My Tanya. What was the brisa that Rav Hamnuna used to say that matzilin, that you're allowed to save something that's written with one of these false inks? Answers the Gemara as follows. Amar Ravashi says, Kedatanya, here's the brisa. Ein ben Sfarim Megillah. In general, writing Sfarim, there's no difference between the halachos of Safros, between any one Sefer and a Megillah, for Megillah Esther, Elashes Sfarim, Nichtavim B'chol Lashon, that all the other Sfarim can be written in any language. But when it comes to the Megillah of Esther, there we have Gedarim. What are the Gedarim of the Megillah of Esther? And thus, what are the distinctions between the Megillah of Esther and other Sfarim? So the distinctions are that it has to be written B'ksav Ashuris, in the block lettering like we have in a Sefer Torah, as opposed to cursive or regular block letters, but rather the B'ksav Ashuris with the tagin written properly, like you see in a Sefer Torah. It has to be al ha-sefer, has to be on parchment, uvidyo. It has to be on ink. So we see by the Megillah that it has to be written bidyo, which means that by inference, the other Sfarim don't have to be written bidyo. And therefore we see matzilin. And that is the inference that Rav Hamnuna used, that Rav Ashi brings to light, that Rav Hamnuna used to highlight, yes, by many Sfarim, we can utilize this idea of we can utilize a Sefer that's written with other inks other than Dio and say Matzilin still. Just to be clear, this does not mean to exclude a Sefer Torah. A Sefer Torah is the same as Megillah Esther in that it has to be written Dio, and the other types of ink do not count. Next question of the Gemara. Ba'amine Rav Huna bar Chaluv me Rav Nachman. A question was asked to Rav Nachman. Sefer Torah, Rahmana Litzlan, it's so worn down. There are so many hundreds of thousands of letters in a Sefer Torah. It's so worn down. Shein b'hen lelaket shmonim. You can't even collect shmonim v'chamesh osios. You can't even collect 85 letters like we have in Kigon Parshas Vahi bin Soha Aron. So do we say Matzilin Osam Ibnei Adleko Ein Matzilin? The whole Sefer Torah. You've got scattered letters throughout the Sefer Torah. In total, 84 of them, less than 85. Do we say Matzilin or Ein Matzilin? Namely, let's give it a little bit more of some Jewish parlance. Do we say that this Sefer Torah, which has less than 85 letters left, does it have a Din Kedusha Sefer Torah or not? Has it lost its status? Can you lose the status of a Sefer Torah? Yes, no, maybe. Let's see what the Gemara says. Amar le viti boilach. I'll ask you a different question. Parshas Vahi bin Sohar on Gufa. Those 85 words themselves. Hecha dechaser Parshas Vahi bin Sohar lo kami boilach. I'm not asking you about when those 85 letters are missing themselves, if we've lost the Kedusha, because the Kevan de Isbe as Karas, because throughout the Torah, Hashem's name is everywhere. Then Afal Gav de Leisbe Shmona v'chamesh Osios, even without these 85, whatever, even if there's only 5 letters, but 4 of them is Yud Kei Vav Kei, there you still have the status of a Torah. We're talking about letters that is not the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Says the Gemara, I'm not asking you about that. Ki kame baile Sefer Torah she'ein bo lelaket mai. I'm dealing with a case where there's no Yud Kei Vav Kei, and I can't even collect 85 letters. What should I do? Answers the Gemara, Amar le ein matzilin. If there's 84 and less letters in the Torah, God forbid, and all of them have worn down, either because of weather. This was why some of the poskim held, I know Rav Hershel Schechter, where I work at the OU Paskin, that if you're laning outside, you should not bring out a Sefer Torah, because the weather can treat the letters very not nice. The humidity is bad. It could get, a bird could defecate. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. So he paskin that it was mutter to skip if you're davening in an outside minyan. If you have to daven in an outside minyan, it's mutter to not hear Sefer. That's how they paskin. So Amrle ein matzilin.
Come by the coastal they have leaning outside.
I would imagine he wasn't such a fan. I didn't hear him extend to that, but that's a great question. A good sushtel. So says the Gemara, Ki kami baile, what am I asking about Sefer Torah? You're not allowed to save a Sefer Torah like that. Namely, again, going back to the Jewish language, is that Sefer Torah has Nebuch lost its status of Kedusha of a Sefer Torah. ACV, the Gemara asks a question on this Targum Sheksavo Mikra. What if you have words that are supposed to be in Targum in the Torah, and they were written in proper Hebrew, or vice versa, Umikra Sheksavo Targum, and you have a regular pasuk that you wrote in Aramaic, uksav ivri, so you write in regular Hebrew without ksav ashuris, not the appropriate, not the right kind of lettering like we have in a Sefer Torah, but you just take a pen and you write in your own Hebrew letters without safrus. Matzilim mipnei adlika. There we have a brisa that says that you're allowed to save it. So before the Gemara gives an answer to this, it says, wait a minute, Targum Shebatorah, my nihu. What is the pasuk that says where we have Targum, where we have Aramaic inside the pasuk itself? So that is a pasuk that we are familiar with from Sefer Breshis. The pasuk is Yigar Sahadusa. The pasuk says in Sefer Breshis, Vayikra lo Lavan Yigar Sahadusa, v'Yakov Kara lo Gal'ed. Very good. So we see that there's Aramaic in the Torah. Anyways, the Gemara says, V'Afal Gab Deleis Bashmonim v'Chamesh Osios. What do you mean? It's nothing. Yagar Sadu says 10 letters or whatever, less. And we see Matzilin. So how could you say that 84 and down is going to be not saved? The Torah loses its Kedusha status. We see Yagar Sahadusa. If it's Targum that was written as Mikra, you still get to save the Sefer Torah. Answers the Gemara with a fairly obvious answer. Kitanya, Ahi Lahashlam. No, I don't mean the 8 letters that are left of Yagar Sahadusa. I mean that these were 8 of the 85, 84 letters. There we would say, even there we would say 8 matzilim. But if it breaks into 85, and what makes the threshold go over 85 is Yigar Sahadusa, which was Targum, we would still say that still has the Kedusha of a Sefer Torah, even though it's Aramaic. because that's what a Kodesh Baruch Hu dictated should be in the Torah. Ibayalahu, first of the longest lines, Kuf Tes Vavam with base. Hani Shmonim v'chamesh osios mechunasos mefuzaros. Do the 85 letters have to be in one collection? Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Breshis, Bara, Lakim, Yisrael, Shemai, all together? Or mefuzaros, or can they be scattered throughout the 54 Parshios Shabbat Torah? How do we look at that? Meisiv Rav Huna Omar Mechuna. So second line of the wider lines. Rav Huna says they have to be all collected together. Rav Chizda Omar Afilu Mefuzaros, even if they're spread out. Meisive, the Gemara asks on this. This is all. Today is all about Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. Meisive, 4 lines from the bottom. Sefer Torah Shabbalah. If the Sefer Torah Rachman al-Islam starts to wither, Im Yesh Balalaked, if you can gather, if you can collect, what is implied from gathering? That they're not all in one spot. You got to look throughout the whole scroll to find the 85. So it's lalake shmonim v'chamesh osios kegon parshas ve'ivin tzar matzilin v'im lavein matzilin. If you can collect them from throughout the Torah, then we say matzilin. If not, not. That's a kasha and Rav Huna says they're mechunasos. Tiyufta de Rav Huna. Tir Gemara Rav Chizda Ali. But look at the love. Rav Chizda was a dissenting opinion against Rav Huna. And Rav Chizda comes to Rav Huna's rescue. Beautiful. It's such an ava b'neihem. Tirgama Rav Chizda aliba de Rav Huna b'tevo. So we're talking about full words. We're talking about full words, and that those are going to be collected. That's what Rav Huna was talking about when the words were collected. But Rav Huna didn't mean mamish mechunasos, that they have to be totally in one string of 85 perfect letters. And that's how the Gemara answers that. And tomorrow we're going to start with some very well-known Gemaras about the famous parsha that it's between the nuns, the double nuns, the backwards nuns that are found in the Torah and Sefer Bamidbar, starting with the Tana Rabbanon tomorrow night. Wishing you all a beautiful night. As always, great to learn with you.